watching The Bear season 2 for some reason made me really want to watch Kitchen Nightmares.
Oh.
So I may have thrown an episode or two on.
In between?
I may have thrown on the Amy's Kitchen
Nightmares episode. What a famous one.
Great episode. But anyway, we're talking Bear.
Do you think they're still open?
No, no. They're gone. She's like a micro influencer thing, and yeah, they're long gone. Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today, we're talking The Bear, Season 2. I'm Ravi, joined by my two brothers,
Arjuna.
Krishna.
And our producer,
Michael.
And we are Was It Good?
Was It Bear?
One of these days, a bear will come through the door and just eat you all. Maybe Cocaine Bear.
Ooh. Speaking of which, I'm currently playing Diablo 4, and right now my current character is the Druid, and I've been having a lot of fun with the bear pulverizer build. So transforms into a bear and just smacks people. So bear, that's the real bear.
Please tell me you called your character Cocaine Bear, though.
No, that name. There's so many cocaine bears running around on the server. I named my guy Wolfang after my D&D character.
Ooh,
wow!
Because he is a druid barbarian, and that's kind of how I'm playing this guy.
Gotcha.
So.
This is Diablo 4. We are not sponsored by them
Or Blizzard,
and for some
But
reason,
if you want to sponsor us,
Don't.
I heard there was new controversy. Heard there was new controversy with Blizzard, so maybe you want to stay away from them.
I mean, we're companies that are not controversy, and
It's a good point. Was it good? The Was It Good company is completely uncontroversial.
Oh, yeah, we're controversy free.
we're trying to make it a corporation so that we can call it a person.
corporations are people, my friend.
Ooh.
Thank you, Mitt Romney.
This is the second week in a row we've mentioned
Mitt Romney
Mousy Mitt.
Mitt Romney, if you want to sponsor us,
No.
I thought we would take any money here.
Yeah. Anybody. Anyway, so
all.
it's the second week that we've mentioned Diablo. The second week we've mentioned Mitt Romney. I think we get to get new hobbies.
Maybe.
Speaking of which, I have this lovely Maddie Masson cookbook on my table.
Are we sponsored by them?
No, but when I was watching The Bear, a thought occurred to me, like, wouldn't it be really cool if there was a cookbook for The Bear, right? In terms of like some of the dishes and things that you're being shown. And then I remembered Maddie Madison is like an EP and like a big part of the show, and his character is a bigger part of this season. And then I remembered also like Maddie Madison is a chef and like cooks, and he has his own book. And then I remembered I went and like, got this book, and then I realized I'd never cooked anything from this book. So this is more of I'm going to try and force myself to cook something at least once a week from this book. So
Nice.
that's the goal.
Respect. Make sure you take a picture and put it on Instagram, otherwise it didn't happen.
Oh, no. 100%. 100%. You have to.
Or threads.
Yeah,
you
Threads
can
now.
thread it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, when I do
hell's
my,
Threads?
we have to change our social closeout now because I think
We need a thread.
we're all agreed that we're off of Twitter, right? Like the rest of the world.
Christian doesn't know what threads is.
You don't know what Threads is?
What?
It's the new happy Twitter.
Yeah, you under a rock?
As Van City.
I live in Denver. Of course I'm under a rock.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know why we're promoting Threads, but Threads is Instagram's version of Twitter, and Was It Good is on Threads. Way to pay attention to us.
Is it like a separate app?
Yes, a separate app called.
I
Threads.
had no idea. I've never heard of Threads. I'm under a rock.
few.
I'm off the grid, so to speak, because I don't know what that is.
Wow.
But okay, cool. Good to know. I'll look that up later. We'll forget.
I'm kind of jealous, to be honest.
Jealous?
Yeah, that you you just don't pay attention to the internet.
I just play. All I do is play Diablo 4 and watch One Piece and eat and exercise and sleep, and that's it. That's my life.
You are a machine.
Yeah. A Terminator.
the Terminator of not being on the internet.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, we're talking The Bear, season 2. Let's get into one-word impressions. Krishna, you should go first. Juno, I'm going to make you go last.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because
It's fine.
well, for our listeners, I think before we get into that, we should describe what Arjuna is wearing here. Arjuna decided to wear a suit. And he looks really good in this suit.
Wow, thank you.
To the point where now I'm wondering, do we need to up our game and all wear suits?
All the time?
All the time.
Maybe. I mean, we need a shtick.
We do need a shtick.
We haven't blown up like we wanted so far, so maybe that'll be our thing.
And the turtleneck and blazer didn't take off.
Yeah, that didn't take off the way we wanted it to, and we've done it twice now. But
Yeah.
Arjuna is wearing a suit. He is wearing, is it Gucci?
Armani.
Or Armani? Lovely.
Oh,
lovely.
Jesus.
Okay. But anyway,
Wow.
Christian, let's hear your one-word impression for the Bear Season 2. Your one-word impression can't be about Arjuna's suit.
No, it won't be. Also, by having me and Ravi go first, there's a greater likelihood we steal Arjuna's one-word impression.
Exactly.
So my one-word impression is going to be hungry. Watching The Bear Season 2, much like Season 1, it was there's just so many glory shots of food. The food looks so beautiful. In fact, the way they shoot it was like kind of different episode to episode, right? In fact, every episode was shot a little bit differently depending on the context of the episode. But it was really apparent with the food. And like one episode, it would be like quick shots. Another episode, it might be like slow pans. It didn't matter. The food always looked amazing. It always made me very hungry. And so I always made sure to watch The Bear around dinner time. No, my food is it's not as good as what they were depicting on The Bear, but at least I wasn't starving and torturing myself by watching the show hungry.
I will say, though, Christian, like, give yourself some credit. I'm not saying like a lot of credit because obviously we all lived together for a minute, and I remember, you would make your, what I would classify as like boiled food. That's what I call it.
Yes.
But by boiling and cooking your food the way you did, you tenderize the meat, and then also you allow your marinades and your seasoning to like really seep into the meat, and it would smell like really decent and really good. So I think sometimes you make good quality food.
I would say 30% of the time.
I was going to go with 10, but yeah, sure, 30. Yeah, whatever.
1 out of 10? No, I would say 3 out of 10.
Wow.
3 out of 10. Wow.
3 out of 10. I'm so confident that Arjuna won't get my one-word impression, and Christian actually helped me remind me what it is, so I'm going to let you actually go next.
Wow.
Yeah.
My one-word impression is going to be evolution.
Damn it, how'd you get that?
What? Was
kidding.
that really your one-word impression? No, evolution, right? The show has always never been... It's not what... The Bear is not a show that just kind of stays as is, and then it's like, this is the show, and you're going to get... I think we've had 18 episodes of the show so far, 8 in the first season, 10 in the second season. And every episode, it changes. There's no status quo. Everything's constantly changing. And that's not just within the story and within the characters. That's within how they shoot the show, how it's presented, and everything. There's never any static. It is always changing. There's always an evolution to it. And I thought that continued even within the second season, right? I think like by the end of the first season, it was all about the beef and this small little sandwich shop and the chaos within it, and then it takes a completely different turn at the end of the season where they get the money and they shut the restaurant down, and that's what you get with this season of them turning into the Bear, the changes that they're going through. So I've really enjoyed the evolution of the show and that continued evolution, and I think by continuing to do that, there's a certain amount of I guess I've never worked in a restaurant like that. The only food service I've ever worked in was at Wendy's when I was a teenager. So I can't say this with full conviction that this is how it is at a restaurant. There are a lot of people that have come out and said that it is. There have been detractors who have said this is an over dramatization, which of course it would be. It's a show.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but I've enjoyed the story, and I think because of that, I don't know. You have ideas and you have things and thoughts of how the show could go, but I think because of that evolution, there's something that is enjoyable to watch about the show, and that you can enjoy consuming it, and you don't know exactly what you're going to get.
It's very well put. Very nice.
Yes.
When you brought up your time at Wendy's, immediately what popped in my head was you at Wendy's and everyone saying, "Yes, chef."
Yes, chef.
And I don't know why, but that just feels so fucking funny to me.
Oh, man.
Arjuna, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't you the fry guy?
I was.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like, my time as the fry guy almost reminds me a little bit of Richie's journey, because like when I started, not exactly. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison.
I was gonna say, do you have a drug problem?
No. Does Richie have a drug problem?
He had a little bit of a problem, like in the first season, where he was not that he had a drug problem. Let me rephrase. He was dealing drugs.
He had a drug dealing problem.
Drug dealing problem.
He did do that for the right, and I think that was because of his aimlessness of like he
Right.
didn't know what he was doing.
Yep.
He didn't know where he fit. But I felt like that when I started at Wendy's. Like I didn't know exactly where I fit. I didn't know exactly how to do my job. And I remember it was like 2 weeks in, I got yelled at by like the manager because I was a little slower, and it really took that to heart. And then I became like a true perfectionist at the fry station.
And you've taken that skill set everywhere you've been
Yeah.
since.
Yeah, I just needed that assistant manager to yell at me.
Wow. Nobody on this pod's yelled at you.
Never.
Literally?
Never.
Would you
Not in our
like to
entire
go first,
lives.
or Christian, would you, or can I yell at you?
Go ahead, sure.
Okay. You're a donut.
Wow.
You donkey. You donkey. So my one word impression, because I know neither one of you would ever say this, mine's gonna be porn.
Oh, food porn.
Porn.
Yes, porn. This show is in terms of the food shots is definitely pornographic. That they're done very, very beautifully. They show you everything, which is what you get in porn. But at the same time, which is kind of anti-porn, with the character development and the storytelling, it's a slow tease. It's a great build up to like this big, impactful, explosive moments throughout the season.
Just like the
Wow,
silo.
wow, wow.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But no, truly though, I do think, because Christian said, like the glory shots, the beautiful food shots, the cinematography is just top notch in this show. I think my two favorite episodes, just in terms of visuals, episode 3, when Sydney's going through and exploring Chicago and tasting all the various types of food. Sunday, and then episode 6, the
Fish.
the fish, the family dinner. It was shot very much like that first episode of season 1 of The Bear. Very extreme close-ups, tight shots. Not letting you
Chaos.
breathe. Nothing on sticks. Camera constantly moving, and then I don't know if I tried looking up and I couldn't find a definitive answer. I don't know if that episode was shot on film. It feels like film. It feels very nitty gritty, like dirty, old school. 16 millimeter film or whatnot, or they could just filter the fuck out of it. I'm not entirely sure, but it looked visually, it stands out amongst all the episodes.
Yeah. We might have created the greatest one-word impression sentence of our entire history of the pod.
Oh, boy.
Our sentence is hungry porn evolution.
It's a class you can take at Harvard
Welcome to Hungry Porn Evolution 101.
or HPE.
Ooh.
Hepatitis?
Wait, is that what the P and PE stands for?
Porn evolution, yes.
Damn it. I was not doing that class right.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of evolution, the evolution from first season, the restaurant's called Beef. The second season is called Bear.
The Bear.
So
The Bear.
clearly, the third season, the restaurant will be called Battlestar Galactica
Porn. It'd be hungry porn evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
or Beats.
How did you guys kind of this? And this is the other thing I haven't really looked up. Does anyone know what the time is between season 1 to 2? I would imagine a couple months.
I don't
if
think it's that long.
Yeah, I would imagine. It's
It
pretty
feels
quick.
like it almost picks up like pretty
The next
I was
quickly after.
gonna say, I think it's almost immediate.
Because like it's a very tight turnaround. Remember, it's they have the 3 months that are on the board consistently of like we're changing this restaurant around to get it to open, and they basically do everything. It seems like in that time, it almost feels like episode 1 of season 2 is like the day after.
It's tough to say, and I feel like that's a theme for the whole show, to be honest, is they did not do time, like linear time, very well. Like there were a lot of episodes that were like, oh wait, how did they do all of that in 2 hours? Or
even like episode 9, like when Sydney and Carmy are fixing the table, And Sydney's like, I made this omelet 10 minutes ago. I'm like, wait, what? Like, wasn't that like
Yeah.
25 minutes ago
No,
in the
exactly.
episode?
That's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of stuff can happen in like a very short time when they need it to,
Right.
or
They
like
really
it can take
stretch
like
it.
like the fire inspection. Like I thought that was supposed to happen in that one episode at like within a couple of hours, and then it seemed like an entire day had passed. They'd gone home and come back to work, and then they still hadn't had the fire inspection.
I think though it adds to the chaos of the kitchen, right? Where you think you have a lot of time, or time is moving at a different pace because of the stress, right? And there are studies done where stress does warp your sense of time,
Yeah.
and can make you think, yeah, either you've done something, you haven't done something. Like Carmine as a character is actually his big downfall is the fact that like he's getting distracted. He's trying to do all these things. He's forgetting to do things. He's running out of time.
Yeah.
And then he's, kind of a dick at the end.
Well, I mean, I think like everyone's talking about episode 6, right? Like that's the big standout episode, the family episode, the episode that has a bunch of great cameos, a bunch of these great actors that they basically had come in with, like Bob Odenkirk, and Gillian Jacobs, and John Mulaney, and
Jamie
Sarah
Lee Curtis.
Paulson, Jamie Lee Curtis as Donna.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham. But like, I think that episode really illustrates to us like Donna is that representation of Carmy in the kitchen, right? And even Richie calls him out in the finale of like, you're being a Donna, right? And that's what really sets him off. Of you kind of see, it's probably not the one-to-one reason why he's like that. There's obviously a lot of other stuff within season 1 that we saw, like the Joel McHale chef character, obviously like being at that big seed of doubt in his mind, but that's where he gets a lot of that behavior, right? Of just being this kind of chaotic, crazy asshole mess. And you didn't see that in the whole season. In fact, like by the time we got to 10, I almost forgotten that like
He's crazy.
that was him in season 1,
Yeah.
right? That this was the character we really saw most of the time, because in the first episode of the season, Richie asks Carmy, he's like, what do you do like outside of here, right? Like how do you relax? And he's like, I'm trying to figure that out. Trying to figure out what I do. And that's what you get with him a lot of this season. A lot of the stuff you get with Carmy is outside of the restaurant, outside of the kitchen, especially because it's not open for most of the season. And then as soon as he's right back into it, he devolves back into the crazy, chaotic person he's trying to get away from, and all that good work he's done seemingly is kind of gone.
I don't know if it's him devolving, as opposed to like him showing his true colors, if you will, based on his environment and his setup. Because previously you're building out a restaurant, you're trying to do all these things, and then you're trying to get to this one point to start it, and then you have your serving or your nights or whatever, and that's where it seems like he fails, where the pressure gets to him on those nights where he has to be head chef and do
he can't
everything.
trust.
Right.
He really can't.
He's
trust.
micromanaging.
Right, just like Donna in episode 6, right? People were trying to help her. She refused their help and then turned around and it's like, nobody's helping.
Nobody helps me.
And that's kind of where he's at. He's having that meltdown in the freezer, but the staff actually pulls it off, right? Richie,
They prove they don't need him.
and like Richie like really steps up, right?
Right.
Sydney recognizes in that moment she can't expedite.
Right.
She's better on the line.
Yep.
And so like everybody kind of fits into the role.
Better than-
Like Fack, Maddie Matheson's character, like proves himself in front of House.
By the way, really amazing last name.
Fack?
Fack. Fack. Every time I saw that, I was just like, oh, fracking toasters. Fack.
Carmine's little explosion at the end could also be just due to the fact that it's the first time he's cooking that whole season too. Like season 1, we see that like explosiveness, that short-temperedness, that rudeness, because he's like cooking a lot, right? This whole season, like you said, that's setting up the restaurant, and I think that's an interesting choice. There, he's like, how do I get my chefs, bring their level up? How do I, get this building past the fire inspection? And it's like, I don't think it's a coincidence that the episode where he finally gets to cook, he loses his mind, right? It's like he took a break from cooking, and now that the cooking is back, he like couldn't handle it. So I think that's something to be said about that.
What's also interesting too with the cooking is he obviously he starts seeing somebody romantically and has a girlfriend and whatnot. But
Claire.
Specifically though, like he's supposed to be working with Sydney, going around in episode 3, testing and trying out new foods, because he even recognizes earlier in the 3rd episode that their taste palates are shit.
It's fucked.
Right? And we don't actually ever see him go back and like taste anything or anything.
Well, I think what's even interesting with this, like the staff as a whole, right? All of the staff levels up during the season, but it's not because of Carmy, right? In the first season, you see them being inspired by Carmy.
him, yeah.
But this season, they send them away. Richie gets sent away and does better. Marcus gets sent away and does better. Tina gets sent away and does better. So it's almost like he almost took that mentorship he had in season 1, but delegated it out, and they actually did better, and they grew without him. And I think that culminates again in that final episode where they're all able to run this kitchen without him.
Without him, yeah.
And it's almost like, is season 3 now going to be, we'll get into some bold predictions, like, is season 3 going to be, maybe I'm not needed in like the ideal restaurant that I want to make? Maybe this isn't my bag.
But this is a show about one of the best chefs in the world.
Yep.
Like Carmy isn't just somebody not
right.
needed. He, like that scene in Copenhagen where he's like, I was with a chef and I thought I was like,
I was the best.
What's his name?
Will
And
Poulter's
Will
chef.
Poulter,
Yeah, the actor, yeah.
He's like, I was the best. And obviously he's talking about Carmy being so much better than him that Carmy lifted him above where he even thought he could go. So I agree. Like, it's interesting, you bring up that they level up without him, but it's still almost because of him, because he's like, you're now a head chef to, what's her name? Sydney. Mm-hmm. And then she elevates Tina in response, and it's Tina coming to meet. And we even see the antithesis of that with Tina's friend, where he's like, I'm not brave enough to make this transition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They do it without him, but they
it's almost
do it
like,
because of him.
It's almost like he lit the fire, but then the fire is maintained by others.
It's like he's a chef of people.
Right.
He takes all the ingredients.
That's the metaphor.
He's a people chef.
Mixes it
Well,
all
isn't that the point
before
of, like,
fucking it up?
Like, you could be the top and the best chef in the world, but if you're not building a team and a restaurant or whatever with good people that you can trust, build, and lead, then it doesn't really matter, right, if you're the best chef, because your food will never be tasted by many, because you can cook for one person at a time. Like, that's just not realistic. That's not how that works.
Yeah. In episode 7, Forks, right? When Richie goes to the restaurant to work for a week.
The Psycho restaurant?
That's the really high end restaurant, right? You don't see Chef Terry until the very end, played by Olivia Colman. And the thing you see her doing is the most basic task of peeling the mushrooms, right? Like, with everything else, you have this entire staff and foundation that's built up to maintain the quality, where she doesn't necessarily have to do that. So maybe part of Carmy's evolution is
take a step back, bro.
Well, yeah, but like I don't have to be this people manager, micromanager that is like touching every single thing. I need to like build up the people and then
let them
trust the process, right?
Yeah.
Well, and if you look at the season, right, his mom's kitchen, chaotic, terrible, toxic, but she was alone,
right,
and she wouldn't accept help. His kitchen in season 1, where he basically maintained that Michelin star by himself. Great kitchen, but also that toxic situation where it's all on like one person's shoulder. It does seem like they're kind of going like, if you're a team.
I will say though about the Bear restaurant in terms of aesthetics, I hated it.
I was confused by like what the restaurant was trying to be.
Sure, yeah, like it was weird. I did not like with the final design. That's like my only weird nitpick about the whole show.
So maybe that's intentional.
I don't like how the restaurant
the
looks.
dining part of it, or the kitchen part.
I mean, just the whole thing. Like the dining room felt. Like, are they trying to be elegant, or are they trying to be kind of like family style, where it's like everybody can?
I think that's intentional. I think like,
I mean, it's limited space. So
it's limited space, and I think like because you have all these different voices and influences.
Yeah.
And he even says when he's in the thing, he's like, "There's art that I didn't like that went up. The pans were on the wrong side. The fridge door was broken. They were labeling tape like shit." So there are these things that have fallen through the cracks, right? And like they've been so focused on getting the restaurant up,
Right.
that it's almost like,
The minor details.
what is this restaurant? What is the concept? Because I was confused when I'm like, they have a to-go window, right? For like a restaurant that seemed to be really high-end and elegant, right? That would be like, I guess the fanciest restaurant I've ever been to is Nobu, right? The sushi restaurant in Malibu.
Don't they have to go though?
What?
Nobu, I think you can order.
Yeah, but they don't have like a to-go window.
No, but
Sure, but like at the same time though, you still like I look at to-go windows in this modern age as like where your DoorDash or
But it's
whatever
different
picking
from
up.
like that versus we're going to make the sandwiches, because that's the idea of their to-go window.
Right.
They're still making their like sandwiches in that to-go window. So it's almost like they're trying to do a bit of both.
Yeah,
and
too many
too
things.
much. And I
Right.
think that is going to play into future seasons.
Also, there are certain requirements for Michelin star as far as what your interior should look like.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what they are, but
Oh.
I know that it could have to do with them wanting to get a Michelin star.
Right. Which seems to be
See-
more of Sydney's.
Sydney's
Yeah,
thing. He
Sydney's
does because he has a Michelin star, so he doesn't really.
He's had one before.
right.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Well, he's
really
never gotten
care.
one, as he says
Right.
earlier in the season.
Actually,
He's
He
maintained
maintained
would
it,
I
yeah.
would push back a little bit on the aesthetics because I've seen Michelin star restaurants in Japan that are literally a bar bench and like a bunch of stools, and then on one side is where you sit, and the other side is where they cook, and it looks like
I think it's the difference between 2 and 3 stars. So the first two are
Okay.
all about food and presentation, or
Right.
like food and service, and then I think I read the third one is where they're like
Aesthetics.
it's about aesthetics,
Right. And the
Isn't
experience.
Isn't Michelin also a tire brand?
yes, they are the ones that dish. The guy in the suit comes out and gives you the star.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
True
It's like-
story.
Well, it's because they started a Michelin guide so that people would travel to these different restaurants
go.
and wear out their tires
Yep.
and have to use more tires.
That's fascinating.
That's true though.
I know, but that's what
there's no way this is at all like made up even a little bit.
It is true.
Wait, now I don't know if it's
No,
true.
it is true.
The Michelin
Yeah.
tire is related to
It's-
Michelin
it's
star.
the same
Michelin
thing,
tire
yeah.
gives the Michelin star, just like the Guinness beer does the Guinness Book of World Records.
I feel like you're all lying to me.
No, I've Googled this since
I know,
watching
yeah.
The Bear. It's
I don't know
been-
about the Guinness one. I take Michael's word on that, but the Michelin one, yeah, I remember looking that up years ago and being like, it's the same thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
All right, I'm just putting that
Because
note
like
down.
when you
for-
hear Michelin,
Yeah.
checking that, when you hear Michelin star,
Fact
you
check,
think like the fanciest of restaurants. And then you hear Michelin tires, and you're like, that's a tire.
is that why I think of Gordon Ramsay when
The
I
fa-
hear Michelin star?
Well, he has a lot of Michelin.
He
I think
does.
he had the most Michelin stars at one point. I don't know if
Oh.
he still does for like his combined restaurants.
That is
He had
wild.
multiple 3-star Michelin restaurants.
I mean, the only
Wow, overachiever much?
the only Gordon Ramsay like restaurant I think I've eaten at is in Harrods in London. There's like a little burger spot. I don't think it's a Michelin star, but like it was one of the best burgers I've ever had. In
I
my
ate
life.
at his Hell's Kitchen in Lake
Oh, that-
Tahoe.
yeah, that's right. You're
and
saying.
both Sahara and I felt pretty sick after. Not gonna lie.
I mean, I don't feel like the Hell's Kitchen
Yeah,
setups
it's a
are,
little
like,
yeah.
because those I would say are like because Gordon's name is on it. I think it's very much run by like
Yeah.
whoever Fox
Fox
Studios like pushes it out to
Probably.
like maintain and
But I
run.
mean, they had Gordon Ramsay prizes. That's the thing.
oh well, of course,
Because
because his name's attached
the name
to
is
it.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can charge whatever you want.
Who is do you guys remember Canby Lake Park? Who is the company that did the food for them?
Sodexo.
Sodexo?
I think
That-
Hell's Kitchen is backed by Sodexo.
So Sodexo is so fascinating. That company does a lot of big food distribution. So obviously, Canby Lake Park was a small-ish amusement park in New Hampshire. They do many colleges, and I think they're the biggest distribution of food in prisons. So, fun fact.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's good.
Spoiler alert for anyone that
diverse.
hasn't had Sodexo food. It's not good.
I mean, it's
Trust me. If you live in the U.S., you've had Sodexo.
Yeah,
food
most
at some point.
likely because
Definitely.
you've hit 3 of the biggest industries.
yeah. And they got their hands in more.
Yeah, exactly.
that.
They probably do. I wouldn't be surprised. They're also like they back hospitals as well.
Guys, they're gonna cater my wedding.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the chicken strips. The chicken strips with Canada were pretty good, but chicken strips are like hard to fuck up.
The chicken strips are hard to fuck up. They're what was the other thing?
Their chicken
they were
sandwich.
Really good for.
Well, they did like the
No.
cup of French fries. Those
yeah,
were really
the
good
cup of
because they
French
were
fried
like
fries.
dough.
Fried dough was really good.
Was fantastic.
Stop talking about food. I'm hungry.
Me
Let's
too.
get back to the bear.
Let's get back to the bear. A
Yes,
show about
yes.
food.
Yeah, no food. Let's go back to a show about food.
And let's talk about what should we talk about? So many things to talk about. Let's actually I mentioned my favorite episodes, episode 3 and episode 6, specifically because of cinematography and the food shots. Did you guys have any episodes that stuck out? Maybe the same episodes, they stick out for different reasons?
I mean, I love those episodes too. I'm gonna go with episode 7, Forks, the Richie episode.
Yeah.
Richie has been like a fascinating character to me, especially from where he started, where his kind of growth in season 1 and then even season 2. Like, I kind of thought it was heartbreaking, that opening scene with him in season 2, where he's kind of in the cellar or the basement of the restaurant, and he's just kind of aimless. Like, he doesn't know where he's going. He's like, where do I fit? I don't know what I'm doing. And you kind of see him act out in the early parts of the season of like, especially when he's working with Sugar, who's now taking a bigger role in the restaurant, right? And he's trying to like, he's feeling like she's taking over, much like he felt Sydney was taking over in season 1, season 1 when Carmy kind of came in. And he also felt Carmy was taking over. And he was just like, I don't know where I fit. And it kind of culminates when he like tries to steal power from their neighbors, and then Carmy sends him to this place where he's like, this is just this is prison, right? This is like my sentence essentially over a week, and just to see his evolution of him like starting to care and really fit in with that group, I thought it was fascinating. I actually thought he was going to stay with that restaurant because he asks.
Yeah.
And like, because he genuinely seemed happy, like for the first time you've ever really seen in this show. He's like legitimately happy at work with the work that he's doing. He has a place where he fits in. He cares. He gives a shit. He's still Richie. He hasn't like become this corporate overlord or anything. He's still throwing in his one-liners and whatnot. But
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I just really love that episode. And I think, like, coming off of episode 6, Fishes, like, playing off of, like, now you've met his wife, the relationship, now you see, I think it's, like, 5 years, right? Because they're, like, 250 whatever weeks.
Years.
So it's, like, 5 years before. Just to see, like, that and how that's gone. Like, he still wears his wedding ring, even though, like, now she's getting remarried, which is tough. Like, he's been trying to, work on himself. And I felt happy in that episode because I felt like you finally saw, like, you finally felt good about Richie. Like, the guy, is not the most likable guy.
No, I mean, from season 1 to season 2, you definitely have moments where you're just like, please shut the fuck up.
Yeah, right.
I was gonna say, like, Richie, it's really easy to dunk on him as a character because, like I said, he spends most of the time just being less than virtuous. That episode was great because you got to see why people like him, right? It's not super apparent before that. In that episode, you see why people like him. It's because he's good with people. He's got good energy. He's jovial. He's friendly when he's in a good mood. So I love that episode too. That was a standout for me. Also because it was the style that it was shot was like, even when he puts on the suit for the first time and it's like almost like Mission Impossible-esque. He's putting on the suit, looking good, and the way the camera pans up to him.
Yeah.
That episode I thought was great because it highlighted why Richie is what his strengths are and why it might be integral as well to the restaurant. So yeah, good choice.
Do you have another episode that you like? That's yours as well?
Yeah, I mean the other one you've taken the top ones. In my opinion.
I have one more too.
The other episode I really liked was the Marcus in
Honeydew, number 4.
In Honeydew, yeah.
That was one I was going to highlight.
with Will Poulter, because we got to see Marcus just go off on his own in this foreign country and like live on a boat for a little while and hang out with this other chef, and then that very I want to know what you guys think of it. That the scene that in the whole season that sort of sticks out a lot because I'm not sure what to do with it, is when he comes across the biker who is crashed and he helps him, and it sticks out because I'm like, I'm not sure what to do with that scene. or how it fits. Maybe it highlights Marcus as a character, but it didn't really give us anything we didn't already know about him. So I like that scene. I don't know what the context of it was or what the point of it
I
was.
looked at it as more like literal in the sense, just shake it off. Something bad happens to you. You check, you good? All right, cool. Say thank you and move on. I mean, I don't know if that's too literal, but that's kind of how I looked at it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Marcus's story was interesting, kind of diving into his background of like the reason he joined the like staff as a whole was he needed a job, right? He said he'd just been working, he needed to help his mom. Like his mom was a central part of this. So I just think it leaned into like he's a guy that will kind of just jump in and adapt and figure out what needs to be done. He's also like a kind soul, like in terms of just like wanting to help people. And I think he likes to do that through baking as well. Like that's what he's really enjoyed in terms of being able to bake new things. Like you see in season 1 when he's making the donut and he's really focused in on it because he really wants to make Carmy happy, right? And he really wants to make this like great dessert. He really wants to level up. And you see that again at the beginning of the season. He reads all the books that Sydney reads. He wants to go, even though like his mom is really sick, he still wants to go on this journey so he can continue to level up. And you see that, right? When he starts with Will Poulter, he's not as good, right? Like he's messing up a lot. And by the end of it, and then when you see him come back and he makes this great dessert, you can see he's leveled up, right? He's taking the lessons. So that's how I kind of read it, of just kind of like you said, Christian, reinforcing like the things we knew about him already.
Poor Marcus, though. The way the season ends.
Yeah, not the best way.
We have characters ending up.
Yeah.
We have characters that ending down.
Right.
And even though on the external, it looks like he ends on a high, we get that text.
Well, no
message
text.
and
It was a bunch of texts and missed phone calls, everything.
missed phone calls. Right.
Yeah,
You're
his
right, missed
mom
phone
is
calls.
probably not doing well, and then also like the way
Or she died.
I
Yeah.
think she's passed.
And then the way it's
yeah,
left
she's
with,
gone.
and then like he loses it because like he's rejected by Sydney, and like it's now bleeding, personal bleeding into professional. So we'll have to see what the ramification is there too. Where it's
Well,
like,
also-
how
also the
does
oth-
he go forward from that?
The other thing that's interesting with his character and also with Will's character, the other chef in Copenhagen, the sign, every second counts.
Yeah.
And the sign now to him essentially means every second counts, as in every second individual, right? Because like Will's story is that of he met Carmine, realized he wasn't the best, and he, working with Carmine, was able to build up, and he's fine with being a second. And now this sign has been sent to him, and I think he's kind of looking at it potentially as, oh, I'm kind of second best, or second or whatever, to maybe Sydney, to Carmine, whatever, but that's okay.
I think that's a good point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Look at it.
That's not my original idea. That was Lauren's. So
Nice. Well, there you go. Credit to Lauren.
yeah, but I can steal it. So
That's true. She's not. I don't see her on this podcast.
I know. Now I feel bad. I should just take it, and so you guys were like, "Wow, he's so deep."
He's so smart.
And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm not that. I just like food porn.
I wonder if the text messages aren't just, maybe they're a little bit of a sign for, everybody seems to end on an up, but maybe there is a phone stuck between a wall and a cart for everybody in the last episode.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, everyone ends on a high and a low, right?
Right.
Like, I think everybody, like, Richie ends on a high of, like, he's able to expedite and, like, find his role in the kitchen. But then he has this huge blow up with Carmy, which
Right.
leaves their relationship
sour
and
taste.
future everything in a bad way. Carmine ends on the high of, like, the restaurant had a good family and friends night, but he was locked in the freezer. He broke up with his girlfriend.
In the worst way possible.
In the worst way possible, and
Yeah.
he's like he lost his mind.
Mhm.
Sydney has huge panic attacks, right? Like can't keep her food down. The thing she feared the most of like breaking down happened again, and she wasn't able to succeed in the role she wanted to. But again, her father's proud of her. She has that affirmation of like he's finally now in her corner. And then we just talked about Marcus, and so yeah, I think everybody kind of ends on a high and low. Even Sugar, right? she again has found her place within the restaurant. She really likes it, but her mom didn't show up. Like she was really kind of relying on that.
Right.
And like,
well, I think it's more
she
like
didn't get to see
she's very codependent on the like wanting to impress and make her mother proud.
yeah,
which,
exactly.
And everything with her husband, boyfriend, not entirely sure.
Husband.
He obviously runs into Jamie Lee
Pete.
Curtis, and she tells him not to say anything to the kids. And then that's also when she discovers that she's going to be a grandma. So that's another crazy, deep. I don't even know how you deal with something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. I think the mother did the right thing by not going into the restaurant because she knows that she's bad for her children.
Yeah.
Especially
right
like
now,
a big
for sure.
night like that. Like, I think, I honestly think she did the right thing. I know that's not probably a universally accepted statement or whatever, but
she
in
did
this scenario, I think it makes sense.
I agree with you, but I think she also did it in a really shitty way. Like, she did the right thing in a shitty way because she forced Sugar's husband to give her the okay. She forced him to carry the burden.
Yeah,
Right.
which is why he
Instead
breaks
of
down.
taking responsibility of
Yeah.
it for herself.
Yeah.
Which is a great character, I feel like. Like, it shows the one side of her, which was like, I love them so much.
Right.
But
I still need to make it about
yeah,
me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Selfish love.
Do you guys think that? Do you guys think part of Carmy's meltdown in the final episode had to do also with knowing his mom could be showing up?
Like,
Definitely.
maybe he sensed her. Did he get
Yeah.
locked in at the same time she showed up? Did they do they have a connection?
A radar?
Yeah, and like, boom, as soon as she got near, he like twitched and
Melt.
Could be. No, I think it's a combination of the mother
Well, Joe McHale is.
and then also the Joe McHale stress as well.
Is Joel McHale just his mother in male form?
Potentially. I mean,
he's just more
would-
negative.
Another
like-
figure that exerted an undue amount of pressure on him.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
was
yeah.
like physically or not physically, like verbally abusive to him, right? Like we didn't see that degree from Donna of like telling him he's a piece of shit, but like
Right.
there's the passive aggressiveness of Donna being like everyone hates me and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of negative in his life.
Maybe now's not the time. But speaking of negative, I was just thinking of that scene with Odenkirk. You're nothing. You're nothing. Who was
Lee?
Odenkirk?
I read. So I read that. I was trying to research him. Like they kept calling him
Their
Uncle.
dad's brother.
No,
Oh,
he's just he's
Family friend.
stepdad.
He's described as like an on again, off again boyfriend of Donna. their
Okay,
mom,
that's kind of what I
that
thought.
they just call Uncle Lee.
Gotcha.
I thought maybe it was her husband's brother, and
Yeah.
after he, like,
But
trying
also,
to move in on his
he's
brother's life.
actually mentioned before this episode in the. Remember, I think in episode 1 or 2 of the second season, Carmy asks Uncle what's his
Jimmy?
name? No, it begins with a C. Cicero. Jimmy Cicero. Yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
What does BLK? BLK stand for, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the 3 last names. B for Brzado, K for Kalinowski, which is Jimmy, but and the L was for Lee. He says Lee, so Lee has money tied into the restaurant
Damn.
as well. So Odenkirk's going to come back at some
Oh
point.
shit!
Saul Goodman.
Wow.
Odenkirk
Saul
was
Goodman.
great. I think Odenkirk and Jamie Lee Curtis have to
Oh, they both
get
both
nominated
win
for
the
best
win that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
the guest appearances. Yeah,
Has
And
the
then
season
the Punisher too.
Thomas Jane.
John Bernthal.
Yeah,
John Bernthal. I love that they only utilize him once a season. So
I
far.
think that's so
And I hope-
smart.
I hope
Yeah.
they keep doing that. If you put him in more, he loses his effectiveness.
Right.
Obviously, this season in the Fishes episode, we got to see a lot more about him, and it explains quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
About how fucked up that family is.
Well, not only that, but it also explained how we got a better sense as to why he didn't want Carmine coming into the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because he knew how fucked the restaurant was, and he didn't want to put.
Well,
his
and he
brother
knew how
through that.
fucked he was too.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like he's fucked. Like he's fucked as an individual, and I think he definitely recognizes that. That doesn't stop him from being a fucked individual, but yeah, he's chaos. My favorite. Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was gonna say anyone who thinks they have a dysfunctional family, just go and watch episode 6.
Yeah,
And it might put things in perspective for you.
I mean, episode 6 though, like I think it's not that a family is less or more. I think the beauty of that episode is you're doing it during a holiday, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. You will, as a family, always get together for various things, July 4th or Thanksgiving or a graduation or a wedding, a funeral, whatever. And there is usually that dynamic that you see there. You see that in multiple families, multiple cultures.
Sure.
And it was a nice way, like, I think that's why universally I think everyone likes that episode so much, is because we all see ourselves and our families, in those things.
Most people can relate to that on some
Right.
level. Like that dysfunction. There's always, every family has some type of dysfunction. I really liked the John Mulaney speech in that episode when he's just like giving the grace and he's just like, has he thrown the fork? Does he still have it in his hand?
I'm
Uncle
scared.
Jimmy's like, yep.
Yep.
Great stuff.
Very good stuff. All right, let's go back a little bit, and I think we should do bold predictions revisited first, and then we'll get into qualifiers for season 3 and bold predictions for season 3. This is I'm just very excited because I was right for once in my life when it comes to bold predictions. So
Yeah, we were
I'm
spot
going
on.
to celebrate. And I was right in the best way possible because Maddie Madison was given a much bigger role this season as opposed to just the handyman that you see for 2 minutes. He was much more involved in this season. He's the reason that Carmine, connects with Claire. We also got to see Maddie's character with the family and kind of really see that he is embedded with this family like a Richie.
Yeah, and he's integral to getting the restaurant going too, you know. And that was the big thing. He went from recurring to starring. He had star billing for this season.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
Good old fact.
I will say this, if you liked Maddie Madison in this show, definitely check out his YouTube series that he has. He's a variety of ongoing ones. He's a big part of the Vice network in terms of their cooking shows. He is a massive, hilarious personality. So I was very happy that I was right.
Again, he was another highlight in episode 6, like him and his brother, just like their giddiness. I was just like, this is hilarious. This is
They're
great. Like they're
crazy.
wearing the matching outfits.
An amazing duo.
They're like, if you invest $500 within 6 to 9 months, we can likely get you $1,500.
$1,500.
And how Mulaney's character is just like, I'm going to give you
it
the
to you.
money because this is going to
And I want weekly updates.
That's so good.
And then Christian, your bold prediction. Christian's bold prediction for season 2 and what actually ended up happening. It's a little controversial because it really depends on how you view the prediction.
There's no controversy.
There's no
whatsoever.
he got it.
It's an ironclad.
Christian has said that
ironclad.
Joel McHale returns, which the actor Joel McHale did return.
And his character.
Those words that I said for my bold prediction are factually correct.
And he was playing his character,
It wasn't,
Yes.
even if
Yeah.
it was an
An
imagination.
imaginative or
Yeah.
maybe Carmine just sees Joel McHale. Like Joel McHale's
All
not actually
customers.
playing like a character. He's actually playing Joel McHale. And for some reason, Carmine saw when Joel McHale was like a weatherman, like way back in the day.
Oh my God.
He sees that person. That's the persona he's given as like this negativity or whatever. There you go.
That's how he sees his mom.
It's Joel McHale.
Oh, God. Terrifying.
And then, unfortunately, Arjuna, no points this time. Arjuna had said that Richie or Carmine leave the restaurant.
I think I'm a season early on this one.
Ooh.
I think this is going to happen. I mean, I think it kind of that final confrontation between Carmy and Richie will have repercussions into the next season. I can't see it not, right? Like you don't have that blow up and then you're just like,
But remember, it ends
We're
though.
good.
It ends with Richie saying, "I love you, cousin."
Yeah.
Carmine
Yeah,
doesn't say that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Arjuna, because I could also see them reconciling very quickly because Carmine and Richie, they've
their
always had those arguments and those blow-ups, and they bounce back very quickly. So you're right. It could bleed into much of the season and have huge ramifications, but I also would not be shocked if they're buddy again by episode 2.
Maybe, but I also I think with Forks and just the way Richie's going, he's outgrown the restaurant. He's outgrown what this place is, and I think I wouldn't be shocked if he leaves. Like,
Well-
I wouldn't be shocked if he leaves, and I wouldn't be shocked if the restaurant also fails, right? And the season 3 ends with the restaurant being torn down.
Well, we all know that one of the most volatile businesses in the United States is restaurants and
Right.
bars. So
Wait, so you think the message of this is going to be don't start a restaurant?
No, I don't think that's
100%.
You
Yeah,
may be the greatest chef in the world, but don't fucking open
I don't
a
think
restaurant.
I don't think that's the message, but I also wouldn't be shocked if there is a failure to this and there has to be another evolution. There has to be another change into what they're doing.
no, let's get into bold predictions right now. But season 3 has to be the last one. This can't keep going forever and ever. I don't want it to
feel
keep
like-
going because they'll suck.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I was gonna say, I think my bold prediction, if you haven't,
Yeah,
stolen
let's
it,
get into bold predictions right now.
yeah, season 3 would be the last one, and it ends with Carmy bringing his people together, and they become the team that they need.
The Avengers.
And he ends with him walking away, leaving the restaurant in a good place, realizing it's not good for him, and going to be with Claire. So he gets the restaurant to where it needs to be. The team's in place, and he walks away at the end.
He must really care about Claire.
Because he really cares about Claire, like that Key and Peele sketch.
I'm going to piggyback on yours a little bit because they mentioned it in the beginning when they first talked to Uncle Jimmy about the franchise. I think we get a tiny bit of a time jump. They franchise like maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4. Nothing crazy.
Wait, the start of season 3?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
this
there's going to be a
is-
time jump. Because I also feel like, because as of the taping of this podcast, nothing has been mentioned.
They haven't renewed it.
They haven't renewed it. And I also think the writer strike, the Screen Actors
That's
Guild
probably
strike is going to be a big deciding factor. They also need to make
But
sure that this is like
$1
this
show. This is not. It's a quick production. So the actor who plays Carmine,
Jeremy
Jeremy Allen White, said like it only took 8 weeks
It's
to
quick.
film this show, and the reason it's such a quick film is because the creator of the show wanted to mimic the idea of working in a kitchen. It's fast paced. It's quick. You're doing this stuff really fast, really quickly.
So there's only like what? You only get like 2 or 3 takes.
Pretty much,
per
yeah.
scene.
They actually
Damn.
said episode 6, the dinner table scene, was the thing that took them the longest to film because
That
of
makes
all
sense.
the coverage.
Yeah.
Of every single.
Well, not only that,
person.
but like these actors are, I think, some of the best, and you can tell like they are really in it with
Yeah.
these characters. So I would imagine emotionally it's tough as fuck.
it's that, and then they also don't want like there to be too much rehearsal with it too.
Yeah.
The creator has talked about wanting there to be an authenticity with the performances. So like not every single thing kind of being staged out or like done over and over and over again, but seeing what comes up naturally a little bit too.
Gotcha. But yeah, my bold prediction for season 3 is gonna be a time jump. It's gonna be franchised,
And then the Time Force comes in.
and it's going to end with Carmine walking away as a millionaire or billionaire
With money.
and retired.
But being
Ah,
more
retired.
miserable.
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So he's gonna
because
make success.
There's no way he would make all that money and be happy.
Yeah, and he's just gonna be
not- it's
depressed
not
as
in his
hell.
character.
Yeah, he's gonna be depressed, and then your final scene is gonna be him. He's like looking at something that reminds him of the bear, and then the next scene is he's in like a dump of a restaurant, and he's starting over again from scratch because that's where he realizes that's his true happiness.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It is bold.
I thank you. What's yours? Someone dies.
Yeah. Richie will die.
Michael comes back.
Jordan.
No, Mikey, like the older brother.
And he's got a
Lord.
mask. They're already
John
setting it up
Barfield.
with Jamie Lee Curtis. She was in my Halloween.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.
Holy shit.
Wow, that's
This is
dark.
a prequel to the Halloween series.
That is so dark.
Shit.
That's
What a
soft.
twist.
That would be quite the twist. No,
They
I
don't have
actually,
the balls.
I think it goes the opposite way. I think I don't think it ends with season 3. I do think this show will go longer than that. And I think because this show, like we've talked about, is interesting in terms of how it's every season kind of ends on a high, but also a low with some of the characters and where they are, right? Especially this season where it's like there are some successes, but characters, there's also kind of this lurking kind of darkness or more obvious kind of failure that some of them have gone through. I think season 3 ends on like a true low for everybody. And that's with like the restaurant closing down. That's with the characters' relationships in bad places, and everything just kind of at an all-time low. And then it kind of gets restarted, like rebuilt after that.
So like season 4 is a
rebirth.
or like a remake of season 1.
Yeah.
Well, no, season 4 would be season 2. Season 3 would be season 0. So like
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because the restaurant was something before.
they're rebuilding
Mikey.
it now,
Right.
So if season 4 is it being destroyed, then or season 3 is it being destroyed, then season 4 is it being built again.
Right. But differently.
There you go.
But better.
Let's get into qualifiers. So what needs to happen for you to say season 3 is good? I think I've already kind of stated mine.
I have a specific.
That has to be the last season. It needs to end. It can't keep going. Sorry, 3 seasons and that's it.
We haven't mentioned this, but the last episode, The Bear, has another. It's not as long as the full episode in season 1.
One shot?
But it has a good one shot that's in there. So I want another one shot longer scene episode. Those are always like really fun to dissect and watch and rewatch, and I think those are cool.
Oh, it also just helps with the chaos of a kitchen.
Yeah.
They're perfect for that.
Yeah, and they always utilize it in a really interesting way, I think, throughout both seasons. So I'd love to see how they would do that in season 3.
Noise. I think for mine, Ravi took mine. So mine is off of the idea that season 3 is the end. Bob Odenkirk and Jamie Lee Curtis need to return. Do like a 1 episode with them where it's super dramatic. Maybe they fight with Carmy or something, or Carmy and Richie versus Jamie Lee Curtis and Bob Odenkirk. That'd be a fun throwdown. But yeah, they need to return for what I think is the final season.
Love that.
Boom.
Boom, baby.
I think it's the first season of a new show.
A prequel.
Called the new show will be called Hungry Porn Evolution.
What would you guys do or think if the season 3 of The Bear is a John Bernthal led season and it's a prequel and it's all about the beef?
It would be
that'd be terrible.
interesting. I could only imagine
Be
they
horrible.
did that because of production
writer's
issues
strike?
or something. I don't know. Or like maybe Jeremy Allen White wanted more money. I don't know. I mean, that would be really strange.
It may not
It
be
would be.
far off though, and like it seemed to me that they got everybody in the kitchen where they needed to be at the end of this season. So season 3, if it ends, is all about getting Carmy where he needs to be, so they can all be there together. And he's going to have to face his brother to do that. So season 3 could be a lot of flashbacks
That's true.
with his brother.
Interesting.
Yeah, because season 1 is very much introducing this crew
Yeah.
through the eyes of Carmine. Season 2 is them all leveling up and Carmine staying at standstill. So yeah, I guess it would make sense that now Carmine needs to truly face his demons.
Well, Sydney also
Yeah.
needs to level up a little bit because she throughout
Hey, throwing up is okay.
throughout most of the season before episode 9, remember
Yeah.
every time she cooked it was off,
Right.
and so she had this kind of mental block for a while. Then when she finally made the omelet with 2 sticks of butter,
You're really not over that, huh?
it was so much
Was
butter.
that cheese that she put inside of it? And
Yeah,
then
it was a
she
type of
wrapped it?
cheese.
It was like a goat
Yeah.
cheese.
Yeah,
And then she used
the
like
sour cream
chips.
and onion, Richie chips,
yeah.
and then some chives.
That's I mean,
It sounds great.
Sounds
I
great.
did not notice any butter.
Oh, well, she does the pan. She puts a huge amount of butter in the pan.
Yeah.
And then she butters the sides again, and then she butters the top before she puts the chives on it. I'm like, this is a lot of butter.
this is like barefoot contestant.
Yeah, I'm
level.
like, this
lot of
is
saturated
a
fat.
lot.
I don't know
of
what
butter.
that says about me. That I was like, that seems normal for eggs.
You're from the South, right? You're like
No,
or-
Midwest.
Midwest. But
Yeah.
they cook
Little bit of
like
South in my
They
youth.
cook like that there, right? Like with lots of butter and lard and
I know my dad ate a lot of lard when he
Okay.
was growing up, but we did not. My mom was sort of a health nut, so
Gotcha.
we did grow up.
So
in
instead of
that,
5 sticks
like-
of butter, it was just 2.
Yeah, or like just some really bad zucchini stuff. I don't. There's always something with
Gotcha.
zucchini in it that I hated.
Zucchini bread's actually pretty good. I had some a while ago.
Nope.
And I was like, wow, this is
Zucchini bread?
yeah, it's weird. I don't know why I liked
It is weird, and I
Banana
don't
bread.
like it. And I don't like banana bread either.
I like chocolate covered bananas. And we got that shout out
Uncle
from,
Jimmy.
to Jim.
He was
from,
really
Richie.
emotional about that.
But Sydney wasn't just off. Like they had to spit out their food every time.
Yeah, like, it
that's
was,
a part of it that there was a lot of it this season. I guess I won't go into it. But this season was more unbelievable than the first season. This was the first season. Well, it's the second season, but it was the first season where it was like, there's a noticeable amount of forced chaos in this show. Like a cacophony that doesn't need to be there for literal purposes, but is definitely there for like for dramatic purposes. And that stuck out to me a lot throughout the season.
I mean, plot device, right? Like they have to do certain things, I think, because they felt like they were in a corner.
I think they sacrificed realism to give us Richie or Carmine's perspective. Like what it feels like to him, not so much what it is like to him, because it felt like a lot of chaos, but it also, there were times where it's like, why are you hammering a hole in that wall that you're just going to throw away?
Yeah, Learman and I had an interesting conversation, I think, a few weeks back, right? After we both had just finished it. And I forgot, but Learman brings an interesting perspective of working on homes, what do you call it?
Construction.
There we go. Thank you. And so it was interesting to hear just some of the things, because Lerman had a few examples of like the forced chaos. And
sure,
I think for us, or for me, right, I don't next to nothing about construction. And so that would have gone over me and probably 90% of everyone's heads. So I'd love to see, that's another perspective that I think is interesting. Someone who's in the construction business or has worked in construction, and you maybe see some of the inconsistencies or the forced chaos and whatnot. It's a good perspective.
I thought, because like the one area of like construction that stood out to me was when Uncle Jimmy comes by and is it the electrician is making sandwiches, and then the plumber is getting a sandwich, and then the plumber's like, I'm waiting for the drywall. Like I thought the show was kind of making fun of like cities and the idea of construction workers in cities, because it is kind of notorious for projects take a lot longer than they're supposed to because of this and that. And we permitting, like we also see some of the shadiness of it with where Uncle Jimmy gets a lot of
he's
like, I'm going to get you this permit, this thing, because I'm Uncle Jimmy. So I thought it was more.
We don't really know how he's made his money, right?
I don't want to know.
Yeah,
that's very obvious. He has very heavy,
he's got a very gangster.
Yeah, gangster, like Chicago, like stereotypical. Yeah, he's in a gang type feel to him.
This is the prequel to the Penguin character in Batman.
Basically,
that's, Uncle Jimmy right there.
There's a better bold prediction. Colin Farrell as the Penguin shows up in the next season.
All right. It won't happen simply because HBO Max and Apple TV Plus aren't friends.
Is it? What?
Because the Penguin show is going to be on HBO. Well, I guess just Max now.
Sure.
And Apple TV is... Oh, it's not Apple TV, Hulu.
I can see why. Actually, we didn't even talk about it. I can see why you got confused because of all the fucking Apple product placement with the iPhones, the AirPods, the watches, the sounds. Like you would think it was an Apple show.
It does feel like an Apple TV. Like every streaming service has a little bit of a style.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It does have a little bit of a style.
My bold
Apple
prediction.
TV.
Well, and also this is an FX production, so it's actually technically Disney.
Well, which is also Hulu.
That's why they put it on Hulu. Right. But like. It definitely, for a minute, I was like, I'm sorry, did Apple and Disney have a baby and this is the baby? Like, it was strange. Like, the amount of just Apple product was weird to me.
Season three will end with Carmine successfully opening his restaurant. He looks at the camera and he takes off a headset, and it's revealed that Disney is coming out with their own AR, VR headset to combat Apple's headset.
Well, they're a huge partner, I think, for that headset.
Yeah, until the end of this show, and then they're going to become rivals in real life.
Apple put all of their branding into this show that they couldn't put into Silo.
Yes.
All right, but new bold prediction.
Yeah. Say it.
Carmy goes upstairs and opens the hatch, and he's in the silo.
He's been cooking for a silo the whole time.
Chicago's just a hellhole of a silo.
There you go. Why not? Why not? Though, I would agree with that, but they've left Chicago, right? When Marcus goes to
Copenhagen.
Which, by the way, up until one shot, I was like, wow, Copenhagen is beautiful. And then when Marcus is rolling his suitcase on the fucking cobblestone.
You don't like cobblestone.
I hate cobblestone. It's my life goal to just put cement all over.
Why? Cobblestone is so quaint and
I know what I'm getting you
aesthetically
for your
pleasing.
birthday. in a
Yeah,
few months.
what
Shoes
what
with
did-
cobblestone
Just
on them?
cobblestone.
What did cobblestone ever do to you?
Yeah, what did cobblestone ever do to you?
When we're done the pod, I'll tell you. But we got to ask that big question before we can end this thing
Was it Bear?
successfully. And Arjuna, you're looking dapper today, so you can go first.
Ravi. Was the Bear season 2 good?
If I say anything but yes,
I'd be surprised.
you're very confused.
I would be.
So, yes, it was good.
It seemed like you liked it.
It was. I loved it. I loved it, and I put it up for so long, and I pulled in Arjuna and just watched it all the way through the day before. I didn't go as extreme as Arjuna by doing it in the middle of the night. I did start it roughly at 2 p.m. and then finished just before 9 p.m.
Nice.
And one of my concerns watching though was like, oh, am I gonna get is it gonna drag? And just like season 1, just binging it's a great.
Well,
binge.
that's the interesting thing we didn't talk about, right? Like season 1 was a binge drop. Season 2 was also a binge drop.
Yep.
People thought like, oh, because the show was so popular, maybe they'll make this a week to week. They didn't. They stuck with it. With season, if there is a season 3, right? Because still, as of the taping of this pod, it has not been officially renewed. With a season 3, would you want them to continue with the binge drop,
definitely.
or would you ever want a week to week version of this show?
binge. I want
Binge it.
everything to be binge,
Even
except
the news.
Star Trek.
Strange New World. Why?
I like that there's some space because the stories are individual for the most part. So it's okay for it to be like it's not a super connected story. So that being as is fine because it's something new and interesting to look forward to, like a new adventure each week. While a show like this it's one big continuous story and I need to know what happens next.
It's like a big movie.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
But, I mean, there are. But I think like a show like Silo, like shows where you can speculate and chew
Sure.
on a lot, I think are still effective week to week shows. I don't think they're. I think it's hard to get shows like that where that are the true mysteries, that are the true like. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot to chew on. You can actually create like a community around watching the show and then speculating for a week. Game of Thrones used to be
Game of Thrones. That was why I think Game of Thrones worked so well is because yes, you had a week to just kind of nerd out with friends, family, coworkers,
even like Mando,
people. Mando too.
earlier seasons of Mando.
Yeah. But like a show like this, nah, you gotta drop because again, there's not a mystery box element to it.
Yeah.
So there is no need. I don't feel like there would be a good reason to suddenly make this a week to week. Like I think it needs to stay. Like it knows its formula. Its audience has become accustomed to that, so it would be kind of a weird.
It would be now
slap in the face.
They could. The time to do it would have been
this season.
This season.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
They're probably going to up the chaos factor like they did this season with the third season being dropped in random order.
They're going to kaleidoscope it, but not tell you.
God. Did anyone here watch Kaleidoscope?
I watched 2
I
episodes.
You watched the whole thing?
You got through
I
2?
watched it, yeah.
I got through 2.
Wait, he got through the whole thing.
Christian got
Yeah.
through the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. There was a lot bad about it, but there was also some things that obviously kept me interested enough to finish it because I did.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just kind of like
It's black.
below average
It's
to
completely
below
black.
average.
Fubar.
Fubar's
Arnold.
Fubar's truly
That was
terrible.
truly the worst
That's
thing I've ever
unwatchable
seen.
to me.
What
Yeah.
the hell's Fubar?
That's that
Arnold
Schwarzenegger Netflix show that came out in May.
Oh,
We
you
watched-
watched that.
We watched the first episode when you were
And
here.
it was
Oh,
revealed.
and I was like, I'm not watching any
all
more
of us.
this.
All of
Yeah,
us.
even
It was
Dad
dog shit.
said no.
It's terrible.
Oh, now I got to watch this. Fubar on Netflix?
On
On
Netflix.
Netflix.
All right, I'm checking it out.
If you can get to episode 2, Michael, you are a national hero.
If you can get through episode 1,
I can't wait to see which is worse, Kaleidoscope or Fubar.
Fubar.
We'll see
Fubar's
about that.
definitely
I'll be
worse.
the judge of that, Krishna.
No,
Chris-
I already judged it. You can just agree with me.
I might.
Krishna, was The Bear season 2 good?
Yes, it was good. Wasn't as good as season 1. I think season 1 holds a special place in me heart. But season 2 was very good. Has a lot of great episodes. The casting, all the guest appearances were incredible. It was just star after star after star. It felt like. So really good. And season 2 will be better based on what they do in season 3.
Smart.
I think season 2 is good, and they ended in an interesting place. But it requires, I think, season 3 to do some things. Otherwise, season 2 would not be viewed as good.
Because they could have actually
In
ended the
hindsight.
show after season 1. Like, if
Correct.
there was never any other
Yeah.
seasons.
Correct.
It had a complete story.
Yeah,
They
but season 2 now
Some
it's
dangling
not
threads.
complete.
Right.
It's clearly not like season 1, which is why I prefer season 1. But season 2 can either be elevated, stay the same, or get worse based on what they do in future seasons or season 3. So we'll see. Arjuna, was The Bear season 2 good?
I wear suits now. But yes, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a fun experience. And I really liked the show. It's a great show. Makes me hungry.
It's so good that you now wear suits.
Yeah, I wear suits now.
Is this going to be a thing, Juno?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Why not?
Because it takes a lot to wear a suit.
Yeah, but it
putting
shows-
clothes on.
But
Yeah.
it shows that you're dedicated.
Yeah, to the
And
show,
also,
the craft.
we took you more seriously this episode of this podcast.
As
That's
Richie
true.
says, it's like armor.
I did like. I really that line really resonated with me for some reason. Don't know why.
Don't you feel powerful?
I don't know if I feel powerful. I mean, I'm just thinking logistically. Like, obviously, there are 2 animals that live here, so I'm just gonna get like when I stand up, Michael and Ravi are gonna look at my butt, and there's gonna be a lot of hair on it.
There are 2
To be fair,
animals
wait, hold
that
on.
live in this house.
Yeah,
There's
first
3
of all,
if you count Rafi.
first of all, Arjun, fuck you.
No. I meant that Ravi and Lauren have a dog and a cat that live
and
here.
then there's also Ravi and Laura.
There's also Ravi and Lauren,
you
who
all.
also have a lot of hair.
Yeah,
I was
actually,
gonna say-
Lauren and Ravi do have a lot of hair. That is a fact.
That is
Jesus
true.
Christ.
No, but Ripley, your dog has a lot of hair.
True.
Megatron has a lot of hair.
He literally sits in these
He
chairs.
sits
when we're
in
not
these
here.
chairs. So
That's
like
fair.
This
That's
suit,
fair.
like I probably have to like get this suit,
Dry cleaned.
like dry cleaned. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't want to do that every week for. The rest
Well, then
of
you
the
could
time.
get lighter colored suits. You don't have to wear dark colored
Yeah,
suits.
but then I have to buy a new suit.
All you
That's
gotta
fine.
do is brush the hair off the suit.
Or you could just brush the
That's
hair.
all.
They make things for that. They're
Michael,
real simple.
don't be
Lint
crazy.
rollers.
I was gonna suggest your birthday's coming up in like.
Let's get him a
couple
suit.
weeks. Let's buy him a suit.
Not
Whoa,
just
what if
one
that's-
suit. One suit for every day because he wears suits now.
One suit is all
You
it
wear
takes.
suits now, yeah.
Could we get a suit for $1? Because then we could afford.
I think the
like 300 suits.
Hollywood suits down on Hollywood, if it's still open, they used to have great deals on suits. We could get 4 of them for like $100.
Oh wow, that's actually not terrible.
That's really.
And then you can just interchange the color schemes here and there, and boom, you
yeah,
got like
mix and match.
20 suits.
Now this
could
was
do- you could do,
before
like-
COVID, so maybe things have changed.
I will say I'm surprised. I thought it was gonna get really hot during this pod.
You feel fine?
I've been very cool, like pretty good.
I mean, I have the AC running at
That's
a
true.
ridiculously low temperature for you.
Maybe
Well,
that's
I
a very
appreciate that.
breathable suit.
Could also
Might
be
be.
that. I mean, most suits are made out of breathable materials, I would imagine.
This one's made from dragon scale.
And that's
That
going
is
to do it
not
for
a-
us here on the podcast. As always, thank you for joining in and listening. We just reviewed The Bear Season 2. We are going to be back next week with 2 different pods. One on Mission Impossible
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
and also the Season 2 premiere of everyone's favorite show, Foundation.
I don't think that's everyone's favorite show, but it's a lot of people's show on their good list.
As always, you can find us on social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads now at Was It Good Pod. We have abandoned Twitter. It's there, but nobody posts anymore. We are on YouTube, of course, where you can find the full episodes on youtube.com/wasitgood. And definitely check out our website, wasitgood.info, where there are great blog articles and posts and pictures of us staring at
Wearing
you.
suits.
Sweaters,
No,
actually. and
there's no
pajamas.
suit pictures on
Yeah.
there.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Now I'm very curious though for the next week's pod what your outfits are going to
I'm
be.
definitely
Yeah.
not going to wear a suit.
I
wore it for the pod. I wore it for Richie.
Expectations are
For
up there now.
Richie.
But Richie
Sky
is
high.
still wearing suits.
True.
That's true, but I did it because we were talking about the bear for this episode in particular, and we will not be talking about the bear next week.
why did you choose a suit over a chef's outfit?
Ooh.
Because I don't have a chef's outfit. I don't have a chef's jacket.
Also, why did you choose
Yet.
a suit over a bear costume?
Don't have a bear costume either.
You don't?
Oh my God. All right.
I have a bear costume.
Goodbye. Everyone wave. Bye-bye. All right, we can cut it.